Hello everyone, welcome to Hill Street. Today's story is, have you ever heard the trees whisper? If you end up enjoying this story, please leave a like. If you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe, become a resident of Hill Street, and let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Now, let's get to this nightmare. I recently moved out of the city and into the country area, filled with more greenery than I'd ever seen in my life. To get to know the place and its people, I decided to volunteer at a local charity store. The demographic was mainly elderly folk looking for a place to have a conversation, or disheveled parents who just wanted a cheap toy for their child to play with until they got home. Occasionally, we would have some young wanderers who popped in from the nearby college, but all in all, it was a fairly relaxed environment. I am one of the youngest workers in the store, and I like our customers. The staff are mostly ladies in their 60s who mothered me a lot. That also meant a lot of customers would comment on my age, make jokes about how I would be attracting more people, the usual really. I would generally laugh it off, and it didn't bother me too much. On the way home, I would walk through a forest, which wasn't a long walk at all. It took all of 15 minutes through the winding pathways until I would reach a path of clear opening, before I would head through another path covered by trees. I never considered it to be a dangerous place at all. It was just off a main road and normally had the occasional dog walker passing through. For some reason, I was deluded into believing anywhere out of the city was safe. So, despite my parents adamantly telling me to use the main roads, I would still take the forest route in order to savor the scenery I was falling in love with. One day, after a particularly chaotic day at work, I told my coworker Elaine I was headed home. "Which way do you walk?" she asked me. "About 40 or so minutes that way," I pointed to the vague direction of the main road, "but I go through the woods on the way." "Oh dear, be careful. Try not to go by the stream. It's quite slippery there when it's been raining." She looked at me with grandmother eyes, and for a moment, I felt a sense of comfort. A feeling of nostalgia rushed over me, as I remembered what it was like to be looked after. "Will do. It's a quick walk, so I should be okay," I called out as I left the store. Reaching the woods, I took my usual route down the side, marveling at the almost rainforest view ahead of me. I turned off the music from my phone and took off my headphones so I could listen to the birds chirping as I walked. I walked along the same path down the hill and through the clearing until I reached the second pathway, which is always quite dark due to the shadows of the trees overhead. There I stopped. I could hear whispering at first. I wondered if I still had something playing on my phone, but there was nothing on. It went quiet again, so I carried on walking. As I stepped onto the path, the whispering started again. I quickly realized it was coming from the trees. Strange, I thought to myself. There's barely a breeze today. Now this is the part that's going to sound insane. A feeling of dread suddenly went through me. I had a really bad feeling. Keep in mind that I have done this walk almost every day for the past 3 months. So it's not like I was second-guessing the safety of a new expedition. The strangest part was that I was certain I could hear the whispering of the trees form a word. Turn. I slowed down, questioning my sanity. Was I being paranoid? I had a 5-minute walk ahead of me before I would reach the gate that led to the main road, or another 15-minute walk back to where I started. I could just run the rest of the way. What's the worst that could happen? There it was again. I looked ahead of me, but it was too dark to see past the corner that was coming up. I looked behind me. Then after a minute or so of deliberating, I turned and went back the way I came. As I walked around the forest down the main roads, I came to the gate that I normally would have exited the forest from. I glanced down the slope into the trees, and for a moment, I could have sworn I saw movement of a person crouched in the bushes, just at the edge of the pathway. My parents have always told me of these spirits that live in the trees. It's the reason I'm not allowed to walk near them at sunset, and why we always think twice before cutting them down. Never make them angry, my mom would tell me. It's their home. Maybe it was my imagination running wild, or maybe it was something more. But all I can say is that I am grateful for the whispers of the trees, and that I always listen to the sounds of the forest as I walk through it each day. The end. That was Have You Ever Heard the Trees Whisper? If you ended up enjoying this story, please leave a like. I hope you all have had a great day, and have a good night.